Hey, everybody. It's a Thursday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. It is December 29th, 2022, the second to last show of the 2022 campaign before we change the calendar to 2023. On today's show, could LeBron eventually head back to Cleveland? And if so, does everybody want him back? I've had a crazy take on this in the past, and I've wisely smartened up in more recent months. Plus, there was a brawl in the NBA, nearly another brawl in the NBA, all kinds of crazy things there. Plus, a former Guardians player signs with a rival. That and more coming up on this Thursday Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
All right, let's get right to it. Last night, our old buddy Dave McMenamin of ESPN spoke with LeBron James. It wasn't just him, but some interesting comments from LeBron James. He was back in Miami last night, and the Lakers got beat up by the Heat, lost by 14 points in that game. Anthony Davis continues to be out. After the game, LeBron was asked what his plans are. Obviously, it's really remarkable. LeBron has had a mostly love, as crazy as that seems sometimes, but sometimes hate relationship or anger relationship with fans here in Cleveland. I think the majority of fans think about LeBron in a positive way. Obviously, there's always going to be a percentage of fans who don't. You come up with whatever reason you want. I've heard a lot of people say, well, it wasn't that he left the first time, it's the way he left. And yeah, I mean, it's fair to criticize the way he left, I guess. And I was heavily critical of him at the time, which was even before I ever lived in Cleveland. I was working in New York when the news broke, and I remember being very critical of him at the time. But as you look back, okay, there's no doubt he could have handled that better. But ultimately, I think that's an excuse a lot of people use to kind of be angry at him for leaving, period. In the end, he felt it was best for his career at the time. He was probably right, and it worked out. And then eventually it worked out here in Cleveland again. We were all excited that he came back. He won a championship. Yeah, it's disappointing that he leaves again. I know for me, I don't have any bitter feelings towards LeBron as someone who's become a Cavs fan over the past, now 12 years almost that I've been living here. But, I didn't grow up rooting for the Cavs, so obviously I have a different feel of it than other people do. I think most people at this point, like I said, feel kind of fondly towards LeBron, but not everybody. But what's amazing, if you're really fair about it, is that, LeBron is 38, right? Didn't he just turn 38? Or what, isn't it? I can't remember now when his exact birthday is. I know it's around now, but it's tomorrow, actually. So he'll turn 38 tomorrow, and it really is remarkable how good this guy is still. Like, it's kind of like Tom Brady in the NFL. You're finally starting to see some decline at 45 years old, and in basketball, not that LeBron's 45, he's just turning 38, but in basketball, you rarely see players play at 38 yet, let alone be one of the best players in the league. And at 38 years old, there's no doubt LeBron is still one of the best players in the NBA. I mean, he may not be the best, the best anymore, but at times he still looks like it, and he's certainly still one of the best players. At worst, he's still a top 10 player, and he's probably, still top 5. After last night, he's 9th in scoring at 27.8 a game. He's averaging 8 rebounds a game, 6.5 assists. I mean, the numbers are what they are. They're just crazy. And certainly you would think that LeBron has the all-time leading scorer. I remember as a kid, getting that record, right? I remember as a kid, I got to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar play in the later stages of his career. I guess I started first really paying attention to basketball early 80s, right? He was already in his 30s by then. And by the time Kareem played his final season, I was 18 years old, something like that, 17, 18. But if you look but I remember thinking as an 18-year-old or whatever, when he retired, like, nobody's going to catch him. This just was never going to happen. It just seemed so crazy to think anybody could possibly catch Kareem. And now, here we are. LeBron, as of this morning, is about, let's see, 173, 550 some odd points behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he's played 167 less games. It's really, it's incredible. It's incredible. If you look at it, so LeBron is the all-time lead, or second all-time in scoring now, as he passed Karl Malone, obviously, to move into second place. You look at the rebounds. You look at the guy's got over 10,000 rebounds and 10,000 assists. He has over 1,000 block shots and over 2,000 steals. Statistically, he's the greatest player ever. Obviously, a lot of people would take Michael Jordan. But, when it's all said and done, it's going to be hard to argue anything but the number of rings that Michael Jordan had. And LeBron's got plenty, and maybe he'll still win more. I think at times because of the controversy. I say controversy, but LeBron's it's not like LeBron's ever been in trouble or done anything bad, really bad, like real life bad. He has ticked fans off, but so did Michael Jordan. Not in the same way, but he did. You hated Michael Jordan if you were a Cavs fan as a kid, right? Or a Knicks fan, or a Pistons fan, or a Celtics fan, whatever. But it's pretty hard to argue against LeBron. Like, at this point, if you're trying to look like, fine, you want to argue Michael, or it's hard to compare the all-time great centers like Kareem and Wilt and Bill Russell to LeBron James. It's almost like the center. It's like three categories. It's almost like point guards, centers, and then everybody else. Shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards are in one group, kind of. And the other groups are all by themselves. But it's hard to argue. Like, at this point, if you're like not putting LeBron on an all-time team or leaving him off your top five, or it's absurd. You're frankly just embarrassing yourself at this point, or trying to be contrarian. It's stupid. There's no top five list of the NBA that LeBron should not be on. I mean, it's crazy. And so all the numbers and the championships and the accolades, and he's not done. He's obviously still having a great season. Is he at the peak of his career? No, of course not, at 38 years old, or about to be 38 years old. However, I don't think we've ever seen a player at his age in the NBA outside of Kareem, honestly. I was going to say that's played at this kind of level at this age in their career. And the all-time leading scorer, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, would be the one guy that comes to mind, and the only other guy. Because Kareem, even late in his career, was, just incredible. You look at Kareem, his age 37 season in 84-85, he was an all-star. He averaged 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists as a center. and 2 block shots at 37 years old. His age 38 season. And then we started to see some decline. Obviously, Kareem's scoring started going down when he was 39 and 40. But even at 41 years old, playing only 23 minutes a night, he still averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds as a 41-year-old playing 23 minutes. But Kareem is the only other guy that was still playing at an all-star caliber level. But LeBron, is LeBron across the board is at this age is better than Kareem. Or still close. I would say still a little closer to his peak than even Kareem was, and Kareem was pretty close. But so we've never really seen it. Kareem's the only other guy in the discussion that I could think of off the top of my head, really. But so last night, as I said, I originally brought this conversation up because Dave McMenamin of ESPN posted some quotes from LeBron, and LeBron was asked about his future and how long he intends to play. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about what LeBron had to say. That's next. First, I want to talk to you about Built Bars, folks. Let me tell you something. You got to try some of the new Built Bars, some reimagined flavors, the cookie dough topper, the coconut brownie bar, the coconut brownie topper, white chocolate peppermint granola. I mean, it's some really awesome flavors, 100% real chocolate, high in protein, low in calories. You are going to love them. They're very tasty, and, they're good for you. So you got to give it a shot. You're going to love them. Find your favorite flavor today. Go to built.com, BUILT.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON15. That's LOCKEDON15. And you get 15% off your order. Built. You got to try this. All right. So getting back to LeBron here. Here are some of the comments he made with Dave McMenamin. Now, keep in mind, LeBron, for any talk about LeBron potentially coming back to the Cavaliers, which we'll get into in a little bit, LeBron did sign an extension with the Lakers. I know we were all, well, not we all, but I know I was in the group that was disappointed that LeBron signed an extension with the Lakers. So he he has one more year guaranteed. LeBron making $44.5 million this year. And $53.4 million next year. And then after that, he has a player option of $57.7 million. So the Lakers have him under team control through next season. One more season after this. Because the 24-25 season is a player option. Now, it's a boatload of money, but LeBron's made a boatload of money, and if he were to opt out of it, it would mean he's going to sign a longer contract or another contract where he's going to make a boatload of money. So I think the amount of money is probably irrelevant. I'll have to ask Jason Lloyd about that today, but it seems like it was. LeBron, by the end of the season, will have made about $435 million just on court. So anyway, which is kind of crazy because there's some baseball players who are not nearly as impactful as LeBron that will end up making more in their careers because there's no salary cap and because part of it is baseball season is twice as many games. But, I mean, it's not as physically taxing, I would think, as the NBA. But anyway, so LeBron has one more guaranteed year. So he will play his age 38 into 39 season with the Lakers, unless he's traded, of course. And then he will have an option for his age 39-40 season. Now, will he still be playing at this level? Would you bet against him? I know I wouldn't. We'll see. So this was LeBron last night when he asked how much longer he expects to play. Quote, I don't have a number. I know as long as my mind stays in it, I can play at this level for a minute. Now that's up to my mind. My body is going to be okay because if my mind is into it, I will make sure my body is taken care of, and I'll continue to put in the work. David McMenamin goes on to write, while James said his mental approach will ultimately decide to dictate how much longer beyond the 2 years, $97 million he has remaining on his contract with the Lakers, as he points out, as I mentioned, with a player option for the second year. That approach is acutely connected to his performance. Winning, it seems, James's estimation, is the true fountain of youth. Quote, again, LeBron, I'm a winner, and I want to win. And I want to win and give myself a chance to win and still compete for championships. That has always been my passion. That has always been my goal since I entered the league as an 18-year-old kid out of Akron, Ohio. And I know it takes steps to get there. But once you get there and know how to get there, playing basketball at this level, just to be playing basketball, is not in my DNA. It's not in my DNA anymore. So we'll see what happens and see how fresh my mind stays over the next couple of years. That's an interesting comment. I didn't pick up on that the first time I read it. And I know it takes steps to get there, winning, but once you get there and know how to get there, playing basketball at this level, just to be playing basketball is not in my DNA. Okay, all right. So LeBron's saying he still wants to win. Now, it doesn't look like he has a realistic path to winning with the Lakers. The Russell Westbrook situation, it has been a disaster. And that was his, he wanted Russell Westbrook there. And it hasn't worked. Anthony Davis is often injured. And so it feels like if LeBron is going to win again, he's either going to get traded in this year or next, which doesn't seem that likely, or he could opt out after next season and go as a free agent. Now, during last season, there was a point where we were enjoying the young, talented Cavs who are now still young, way more talented, and way more fun. And there was a point last year where I said, when I was still working on the radio, that, you know what, I love this young team. I wouldn't want LeBron on it. I have since many times said that was one of the stupidest comments I've ever made publicly. And I stand by that. I know there are still some fans. I know there's a part of you that would say, I'd love to see the Cavs win a championship without LeBron. Wouldn't that be cool? It'd be cooler winning a championship. This Cavs team is very good, but are they a championship team? I guess time will tell. The interesting thing is they'll have, in theory, the Cavs will have two chances to prove whether or not they are championship caliber as is or with some tweaks. And LeBron will have a year and a half, in theory, if he doesn't change teams. He may not change teams at all, but if he doesn't do it until after he's a free agent, he'll have a year and a half to, or will have a year and a half to still see, is LeBron still an elite player? Or even if he's not, even if LeBron goes down another notch from where he is now, it's still a player that would be a massive addition for the Cavs. And he'll have a chance to survey the landscape and see where he wants to go. And if people want to, if he comes to the Cavs as the final piece, let's say the Cavs go to the playoffs and win a round and lose in the semis, and then next year they get another step and they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then LeBron comes in and puts them over the top. Is anybody in Cleveland going to complain, oh, LeBron chased the title and blah, blah, blah? Yeah, some people will knock him outside of Cleveland, but who cares? And honestly, in the end, all that matters is winning, right? Listen, I shouldn't say it that way because I'm all for good sportsmanship and I don't want to be a cheater and, obviously like an Astros situation. But I'd rather the Cavs win a championship with LeBron than keep falling just short without him. And it's too early to say. Maybe they can win one without him. They have a really excellent team. It does feel like they're missing one piece from this team. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be LeBron, not necessarily, but if you added LeBron to this team, even in a year and a half from now, 2 seasons from now, it still could clearly be the difference. Again, maybe at some point in the next year or two, LeBron just craters, that his career goes completely off the rails because he's unable to stay healthy or whatever. But I don't know, man. I mean, LeBron is one of the, if not the most unique athlete to ever play team sports. And I just feel like he's probably going to be great into his 40s if I had to bet on it. Because there's very little sign of any decline at all. And I still think in a postseason series with a good team around him, he could still be as good as any player in the NBA, Giannis, anybody. I really do. And I think if he ended up on this Cavs team at some point, he would be reinvigorated by, even, I don't know that he needs to be reinvigorated, but even more energized, I would say, by playing with all these good young players. Would it fit perfectly chemistry-wise? I guess you never know, but it's something fun to think about. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, enough with LeBron. Okay, I get that, but in the end, you got to be realistic about the situation, and it's a possibility. Just floating it out there. We'll see what happens. All right, I do want to get to a few other things. We're going to save. I did a little Browns and Washington yesterday, and for tomorrow's final show of the year, I'll get into a little more on the Browns and Washington and do some final thoughts of the year as well. But I want to hit on a couple other things, NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball. I'll wrap it up next right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. I'm still here. Okay, I'm back. I didn't go anywhere, but a couple things, a couple quick hitters from around the league. There was a brawl in the, and I forgot who the Pistons were playing now. In the Pistons, who the heck was it? Oh, Orlando. That got pretty ugly, but fortunately it didn't go too far over the top. I appreciate a good brawl in sports. I know some people get uptight about it. I don't mind it. There was almost another one. This was interesting because in the Bulls-Bucks game, DeMar DeRozan was really ticked with Grayson Allen. Now, let me come into this by saying that I've never liked Grayson Allen. I hate Duke. I've always thought Grayson Allen was a dirty player. He was way dirty in college, way in the big time when he first came in the NBA. You haven't heard much about him being dirty lately. It was kind of like, I don't know, he grew out of it or whatever. And then I saw a tweet, or I don't remember what I saw, maybe a headline on ESPN. DeMar DeRozan gets angry at Grayson Allen. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again with Grayson Allen acting like a punk. And I watched the replay of the play where Grayson Allen kind of stumbled into DeMar DeRozan and knocked him down. And DeRozan got really ticked, and maybe who knows, maybe it spearheaded the Bulls to an exciting 119-113 win over Milwaukee in overtime. The Bucks are scuffling a little bit. But I watched the replay of this play. Now, I'm not in the arena. The replays I saw were not a perfect angle. There were two angles they showed. But I got to say, as someone who hates a little strong, because whatever. I don't like Grayson Allen. Again, very clearly do not like him and think he's a dirty player. I got to say, I can't believe I'm defending him. I didn't see much of anything. Grayson Allen just kind of stumbled into DeRozan. The article said he threw an elbow into him and knocked him down. I didn't, yes, his elbow was on his back, but again, I didn't have the replay wasn't a perfect angle, but it didn't look like much of anything. I don't know. I mean, DeMar DeRozan looked like he barely got hit, and he's, falling to the ground. I mean, again, Grayson Allen doesn't really get the benefit of the doubt because he has a bad reputation, deservedly so. I mean, he's done really dirty things, both in college and the pros. There's no debate there. But I thought this was nothing with nothing, and I thought, listen, in the heat of the moment, if I got knocked to the ground, and I saw it was Grayson Allen, maybe I'd lose my mind too because I don't like him and he has a reputation, but I'm going to defend him on this one. I didn't think there was anything to it. I was like, what is DeRozan doing? What's he getting so angry about? It seemed like a nothing with nothing play. But Anyway, so that was something interesting from the NBA. From the NFL, big story yesterday, Derek Carr has been benched by the Oakland Raiders. And what's interesting about this, now Derek Carr obviously has had an up-and-down career. He has not had a good season this year. He's not been very good. I think Derek Carr's a decent quarterback, but certainly not a great quarterback. He's never won a playoff game, and he's been in the league a long time. Raiders are 6-9. They are still technically alive for the playoffs. Obviously, a lot would have to happen for them to get in at 6-9. They're behind five teams for that final playoff spot. But they are mathematically alive, and they're going to go with Jarrett Stidham, who hasn't played. So it's interesting that they've made that change. Now, part of it is, well, the reality is they've decided they're going to move on from him, obviously. And if he got hurt in the last 2 games and that caused him to not be able to play next year, his contract would become guaranteed for the 2023 season. They don't want that to happen. Derek Carr has said, hey, I don't want to be a distraction. I'm going to get out of here. Obviously, he's not happy about the situation. So Derek Carr will be playing somewhere else next year. Not in Cleveland. I just thought it was interesting. We're seeing a lot of quarterback changes here late in the year. The Jets are going back to Mike White after the Zach Wilson experiment has been a disaster. The Washington Commanders, who will play the Browns on Sunday, going to Carson Wentz. Teddy Bridgewater is going to start with the Dolphins as their playoff hopes are on the brink, and they have the 7th seed right now. But if they lose to the New England, I think Miami's in big trouble. I think without Tua, and Tua hasn't played great, they could be in trouble. However, they're playing the Patriots and the Jets. Neither of those teams are playing well either. The AFC East was looking good early, but right now, I don't think any of those teams are any good. Whoever's the 7th seed in the AFC, I guess if Tua came back, but he hasn't played as well the second half, that's a big advantage. That's a big drop-off from the Chargers at 6, who are, legitimate. The 7th seed in the AFC is, Miami, New England, the Jets, the Titans, the Steelers, the Raiders. Those are the teams that are alive for that 7th spot. I don't think any of them are any good. I really don't. So we'll see who ends up getting that spot. But without Tua and going with Bridgewater, I don't know. I think if the Dolphins win one more game, they'll probably make it. Excuse me. If they beat New England this week, but no, that's the story with that. And finally, Corey Kluber has signed a 1-year deal with the Boston Red Sox. Kluber was on my list of guys I would have liked to see the Guardians get in the mix for. I think they could use that type of mid-rotation starter. Maybe they'll turn to possibly another former Guardians player, Carlos Carrasco, who appears to be someone the Mets would be willing to trade. All right, I'll talk to you for the final show of the year tomorrow, Friday. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.